Shit! Dude. Man, I don't care if you are in a wheelchair. If you do that again, I'm calling 5-0. That's it, Crackerjack. You're gonna be sitting your ass in jail now.
How much for this one?
In the beginning, I did not know who the director M. Night Shyamalan was, nor was I aware of any of his films, such as Unbreakable or Sixth Sense. But the one movie that really got me anticipated in having to watch one of his films was Signs. And as soon as I watched Signs and I enjoyed that movie so much, it got me very, very excited and wanting to watch more of his films, which got me to enjoy the experiences of his other great films, which are like Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense. And I find that he is a very, very talented and unique director, not one that you would expect out of the majority of other directors. But M. Night Shyamalan is very, very unique. He has a very different type of vision when it comes to him developing cinema. So, and when it comes to his great successes with Unbreakable, and then a few years ago having to develop the sequel, sort of sequel with Split, and then now having this this conclusion to his trilogy of the real world of superheroes in Glass. I'm really excited to talk about these great and wonderful films with you guys, and having to experience the movie Glass is also a film that, not only it being my first film to watch in the theaters in 2019, but also being such an excellent one and such an exciting time having to leave the theater and wanting to talk about it with you guys. So, hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to having to watch one of my videos. You guys are such a huge inspiration to me for having to do my great and wonderful hobby, because I love to talk about movies, but more importantly, I love to talk about them with you. So let's go ahead and get it started here, y'all, with the first movie that I want to review for you guys today, Unbreakable. So Unbreakable was first released back in 2000, and I think that it was M. Night Shyamalan's first feature film. I know that he's done several mini films before that, but I think that Unbreakable was the one that really put him on out on the map here. And this movie stars Bruce Willis, who happens to play this character named David Dunn, who goes through this traumatic train crash, and it brings everybody into a suspicious thought, having to notice that everyone that was on that train was killed. But unfortunately, when it comes to David Dunn, not only is he the only survivor of this train crash, but he does not have a single mark on his body, which brings a lot of curious thought to another character within this film, played by Samuel L. Jackson, who plays this character named Elijah, and who Elijah is a character whose bones is very easy to break, and he has a very spectacular IQ. He's very smart, and he's very artistic. He's been raised into this world of suspicious thought, of wondering if superheroes do exist in the world, and having to define also what is his very meaning of existence. So that's the whole meaning of his character. And we're also given some characters within the movie. Spencer Treat Clark, who plays the son of Bruce Willis's character, David Dunn's character, and he is the child who looks at him after hearing out Elijah's theory about the reasonings for his survival of the train wreck. He looks at his dad and he says, "You know what? This is pretty cool. You know, my dad's the first live ever superhero with superpowers." And there's an in particular scene in there where it really was going to test the theory by pointing a gun to his own dad and was going to shoot that gun at him to see if he was bulletproof or not, or if he was going to be wounded for a very minimum amount of time and heal very rapidly. So it was a speculation that was going to be proven, but it did not take place. And it brought me to a very curious thought. You know, this whole movie put you into wondering whether or not that this theory was true or not. And also, a minor part of the film that is not really necessary throughout is Bruce Willis's character has some marital complications with his wife, who is played by Robin Wright. And at the beginning of the film, he tries to cheat on his wife by taking his ring off before the train wreck and talks to this gal, and of course nothing really takes place after. So they try to work that out throughout the movie, and I think that it really isn't as necessary as it should be within the film. If you were to take that out of the movie, it really wouldn't make any difference. And then we got Charlene Woodard, who plays the mother to Elijah, and she's the one who raises Elijah and develops this introduction to the world of comic books and superheroes and villains, and that's what brings him into this beginnings of trying to go out into the world and try to find another significant other such as himself. And I love the movie through and through. I really love on how Bruce Willis's character is developed into an average, ordinary, normal guy, and having to see that he, throughout his whole entire life, he's never gotten sick. He can have visions of people when he touches them, and that he has this super strength that he can lift so much weight more than an average, normal human being can lift. So, and then he has this very minor scene where he is fighting against some random person who has invaded a family's home, and of course every superhero has a weakness. So he knows that his weakness is water, because he had a dramatic scene that happened with him when he was a child, where he nearly drowned and he was powerless. So, and the same thing happens with him when he is thrown into a pool with a pool cover and is taken down and is suffocating. Of course, is pulled out, and you can just see this huge heroic sequence of him rising up and becoming this superhero character that we've gotten to know and love. So, and having to come to the conclusion of the whole thing at the very ending, when both Elijah and David Dunn shake hands and are in agreement to the fact that he is officially a superhero. He has the vision of Elijah being the ultimate super villain. The super villain of Elijah killing so many people in order to find David Dunn, to finding his significant importance of knowing that he is not the only one in the world who is very unique, such as him. So on Rotten Tomatoes, they gave this movie a 69%, and I very much enjoyed the movie. Not as much as the ending, and to where it just gave you some conclusion as to what happened after, instead of just visualizing what happened next. That kind of threw me off a little bit. I was just like, well, it put me in a position of wanting more. I wanted to see more. But since Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 69, I liked it a lot better to giving it a 74%. So that's my rating for Unbreakable. What do you guys think? You guys can always leave a comment in the section in the bottom, and we can have an awesome conversation regarding towards this film or any of M. Night's amazing films in general. So let's go ahead and jump on to 16 years later, after the first Unbreakable film, Split. So M. Night Shyamalan has had so many great successes in the past, but he has some very, very terrible films that were released before Split, like The Last Airbender, Lady in the Water, The Happening, so on and so forth. But I think that he came into a resurgence with his films after when he released the movie The Visit, which was one of those shaky cam kind of films. I didn't take the opportunity to watching The Visit because it wasn't really a film that I wasn't really into. I'm not really into shaky cams. I get very, very nauseous. So I think the only ones I've ever watched was like the Blair Witch Project and Cloverfield, and that's about it. Everything else just pretty much just puts me in a very nauseous position. So I didn't take the opportunity to go watch The Visit, but I did take the opportunity to watch Split. And Split is by far such one of his amazing adaptations of his mind persona brought into the big screen. And this movie stars James McAvoy, who plays a character called Kevin Wendell Crumb. And this character has a unique sensibility, in which cases he has 23 different personalities, which is 23 different characters within one body. So it's quite amazing, and the marketing for this film brings you into this feeling of going into a horror thriller film, and James McAvoy does an amazing job having to portray every single individual character throughout the film. I don't know the names. I know one of them is called Hedwig, and then the other one is called Patricia. And yeah, there's just so many that it's very hard to keep track on what the names of each individual identity are. But one in particular, which brings us to the very ending of the film, is called the Beast. And this Beast is revealed as McAvoy, who takes off his shirt, and instead of being slim and flancy, he's very muscular, he's very veiny, he's very beast-like. And it just does not get revealed until when he starts climbing on walls. I mean, what human being can climb on walls, and what he does also is that he can resist bullets. Once he gets shot by one of the female actresses in this movie, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and she shoots him in one position of the body and then the other position of the body, and he gets up and there is not a scratch on him, and and then he comes to a point where he's pulling those bars, which is such an amazing moment. It's just so amazing in how David Dunn from Unbreakable revealed himself of being a superhero. This one revealed himself to being the true villain with actual superpowers by pulling those bars, and instead of him attacking Anya Taylor-Joy's character, he sees that she is a very unique individual. She's not a super powered person, but she is a type of person that went through a lot of dramatic stress when she was a child, just to see, which is why he spared her life. We got Haley Lou Richardson, Jessica Sula, Betty Buckley, and Brad William Henke, who are in this film as supportive roles. Even though they have very minor roles within this movie, I find that it really does stretch out the film enough to identify more of Kevin Wendell Crumb's character throughout the movie. And I very, like I said, I wasn't really a huge fan of the M. Night Shyamalan films until I started watching Signs, and I didn't really put two and two together at the very ending when we get this secret scene where we get David Dunn returning back. I heard the music. I saw the poncho, the dread coat hanging there under the TV, and then having to hear the name Mr. Glass, and then seeing David Dunn sitting there with the name Dunn on his shirt. It's a true reveal, having to know that Split is the ultimate sequel to Unbreakable, the movie that we've been waiting for this whole entire time after 16 years, and having to know that both David Dunn and Kevin Wendell Crumb were going to clash against each other in the possible next film. So that really brought a lot of excitement into me. That scene kind of reminded me of the scene when at the ending of the Wolverine, when Wolverine runs into Magneto and Professor Xavier at the airport, and which gives you a little tease to the next conclusion of that franchise, which was X-Men Days of Future Past. So that really got me in a very anticipated position of wanting to see what does happen next, and that got me very excited into wanting to watch the next film, Glass, which I did get to watch, and I will go ahead and explain it to you guys here about that in just a second. But when it comes to Split, Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 76%. And for me, I actually love this movie a lot better than Unbreakable. Even though I enjoyed Unbreakable very, very much, a hero is not a hero without the villain, which is one of my very favorite mottos to a superhero film. And I gave this movie an 80%, which is such an amazing and wonderful film. And I'm very excited and having to see more of James McAvoy's portrayal of Kevin Wendell Crumb and the return of Bruce Willis's David Dunn. And not only that, we'll be getting the return as well of Samuel L. Jackson's Mr. Glass. So that's my review for Split. Now let's go ahead and jump on to the one that we've been wanting to talk about, Glass. Alright everybody, now let's talk about Glass, a movie that I just finished watching I think about a week ago, and like I said before, I was sick, so it gave me several complications into having to do my review for this film. And I love the fact and how I started 2019 with this movie. It's such, oh my god, I left the theater with a lot of excitement, with a lot of wowed moments. And just to point out here is that I know the reason why a lot of people really disliked this movie because of the fact that they believe it is a superhero movie. Let's point this out. Number one, this is an M. Night Shyamalan film. Have you seen M. Night Shyamalan movies? They are all different compared to all the other movies that it is collided with. M. Night Shyamalan's stories are always unique. They're always different. They always give you something that you do not speculate it of being. So if you are expecting something to happen in the movie Glass, it's not going to happen. He always has some significant surprise at the ending of the film that gets you at the edge of your seat in having to wanting more. And so that's number one. Number two, get it through your heads, people. This is not a superhero movie. Not a superhero movie. Even though it involves a world of superheroes, superpowered individuals, that does not mean that this is a superhero movie. Okay? Just like the movie Kick-Ass. Kick-Ass is involving a world involving superheroes, but without superpowers. It's just typical regular human beings dressed up in costumes, superhero costumes, fighting crime. That's all that is. And when it comes to the M. Night Shyamalan films, Unbreakable, Glass, and Split, they all involve the real world, involving real life introductions of superheroes with superpowers. So I find that to be very, very interesting because I love superhero films. And I think that superhero films are an all-time amazement to all audiences, critics, and fans. And you got to remember this too. When Unbreakable was first released back in 2000, we weren't in the world of superheroes just yet. Yes, we did get some Batman films, some Superman flicks. We got Blade movies, and that's about it. And then we get some epic fails, like The Phantom or The Shadow, Steel, so on and so forth. And none of them happened to have been of such great success until we got the introduction of the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man film in 2002. That's what opened the world of superheroes that we've all gotten to know and love today, involving the MCU and the DCEU, so on and so forth. So that's why a lot of people looked at Glass as having it to being such a same type of storyline as what other superhero films that other audiences are involved with. But like I said, M. Night Shyamalan film and not a superhero film. So let's get to it, guys. Glass is a story that takes place 3 weeks after the movie Split, and we get the returning of Bruce Willis playing David Dunn. And David Dunn is no longer a security guard for a baseball stadium. He is now he owns his own business with a security business. And his son from the first film is actually the same actor coming back, Spencer Treat Clark, who comes back as his son, grown up. He's in his 30s now, and quite normally when you have a large amount of time of developing a sequel after the first film, usually the child character happens to be recasted with a different actor. But instead, I was very, very fascinated with the fact that they brought back the same actor. So that really got me into this movie very, very well. Because when it comes to recastings, it really takes me out of the movie. I really am not fond of recastings. It's not a really great thing that I love to watch when it comes to watching film. And Sarah Paulson, who happens to play the psychiatrist in this, she's a very unique individual who in this movie is positioned to help to find a way on how we can get these three individual different characters to believe that they are not superheroes with superpowers, that they are just regular human beings who went through a lot of trauma and stress when they were children, and now they come to believe with this delusion of being something that they are not. So that's her mission throughout the movie, and I find it to be very, very interesting. Even though her character is absolutely annoying, I believe that that's what the character actually is, because I mean, I've dealt with some doctors before in the past, and yes, they are quite annoying when they try to make you believe it is something that you are not. And of course, not only do we get Bruce Willis here, I love the fight, this beginning fight that we get. That's kind of like this one little film where we get David Dunn, who is now called the Overseer, and James McAvoy returning back with these 23 individual different characters, which he does an amazing job doing, Kevin Windlecrumb. And I love how he becomes the Beast once more, and the Overseer and the Beast clash against each other. It's not this big epic fight, but it's really a great sequence that I love having to watch these two really great, admirable characters that we've gotten to know and love it together in one screen for the first time ever. And I just find it to be absolutely fascinating. And so they both get captured within their fight and are taken into this mental institution where Samuel L. Jackson's Mr. Glass is there. And when these three come together, and it's so amazing. I love how they have different colored personas to each of their characters. Like Mr. Glass is purple. The Horde, which is Kevin Windlecrumb, is orange, kind of yellow, and David Dunn is a greenish blue type of feel. So I found that to be very, very absolutely amazing. Robin Wright doesn't come back into this, who is David Dunn's wife. From apparently that we know that their marriage was a successful put back together. But yet they killed her off. She's not part of this film at all, which is fine with me. I mean, like I said before, the marriage part wasn't really that much interesting to this film. That it didn't give it any importance to. We get Anya Taylor-Joy from the Split movie coming back here, who plays a supportive character to the Horde, and Charlene Woodard, who plays a supportive character to Mr. Glass. I love how the ending develops. I'm gonna spoil this. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a chance here. I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this for you all, just in case if you guys have watched. I mean, you guys should have watched it already. I mean, it's already been over a week now. But at the ending, I didn't like the fact on how they all died, that they all get killed off, and I did like how it's revealed that Mr. Glass is responsible for the Horde's creation by killing his dad on the same train as David Dunn was on in the first Unbreakable film. And that we get to reveal the fact that that there's a secret society that that their mission is to either try to develop a way to get these superpowered human beings into believing that they are just normal human beings, or they kill them off because, like they said in the film, is that they are not good guys, they're not bad guys, but they are a group of individuals who are trying to develop balance within the world, because the world is not ready to see a world full of superheroes, because otherwise it would create a lot of chaos and unbalancements within the world, which I found to be very, very highly entertaining. I thought it was another great twist of M. Night Shyamalan that made the film very, very interesting to watch. And then one more twist at the ending, to where Mr. Glass, he makes everyone to believe that he is highly sedated, that he's not fully capable and having to do what he does with his great, excellent IQ. But at the ending, he does a great, wonderful job by sneaking out of his room and going through computers and paperwork and developing all the cameras within the facility to be transferred over to the supportive characters of the main characters of the movie, to unleash the footages that were developed through the final fight of the film and out into the world, to let the whole entire world know that superheroes and supervillains do exist, and having to let others know that if these people can do it, you can do it too. You do have a superpower, even though it might be very minor and very different. It's just having to know that you are a superhero / supervillain as well. So I find this movie very exciting, very entertaining, and I'm so excited to go and watch it again. Yes, I'm going to go watch it again. It was so, so awesome. Now, like I said, a lot of people weren't very fond of the film, like Rotten Tomatoes giving it a 36%. But for me, I loved it a lot. So much more better than Unbreakable and Split by giving Glass an 82%. So I had a great, excellent time. What do you guys think? Leave a comment in the section on the bottom, and let's have an awesome conversation regarding towards any one of these three incredible M. Night Shyamalan films. So I'm Awesome Joe. Thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to having and watching one of my videos. You guys are such a huge inspiration to me for having to do my great and personal hobby, because I love to talk about movies, but more importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget, you can always like and subscribe my pages on both Facebook and on YouTube at Awesome Joe. Check it out. Leave a comment in the section at the bottom, and let's have an awesome conversation regarding towards any one of my videos, or any movies that you would like to discuss, and we can have an awesome conversation about them. So, and as always, you guys, stay awesome. Thanks y'all so much, and I will check y'all out in the next video. Bye.